diving deep into the worlds of, say, athlete-branded weed or Celebrity Family Feud, for instance, should probably explain the bizarre details of why Charles Flores was not executed as scheduled on June 2nd, 2016, and why the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals finally granted him that stay of execution just 6 days before that date. Because all of this has to do with the eyewitness testimony that led to the capital murder conviction of Charles Flores in the first place. You see, the eyewitness in question was the victim's neighbor, and what she reported seeing on the night of the burglary was a car with 2 men driving up to the house across the street. The driver she easily identified as the aforementioned and eventually admitted gunman, Richard Childs, a white dude with long, dark hair. As for the passenger, what this neighbor recalled was that he was also white, with long, dark hair.
So tell me, what is it that you remember about the incident that day? Offhand, things you can remember now.
And first thing I remember is when I looked out the window and I saw a car pulled up into the driveway. I remember it was a VW Bug, and I remember seeing 2 guys get out. And I remember looking at the passenger as he got out and remembering his dark hair, but basically the same as the driver's.
But Charles Flores, a local drug dealer who was one of the police's main suspects, absolutely did not look like that, as you'll see. In fact, this neighbor failed to pick Flores out of a lineup. And what happened next was something that I didn't even know was a real thing until I started studying this case, which was that the neighbor then submitted to a long-standing practice that has been around since the 1950s, known as forensic hypnosis.
Have you ever seen a documentary film, like on TV, like with the Animal Kingdom show, or, what we're going to do is when we get you into a deep state of hypnosis, we're going to take you to a theater. It's going to be your own private theater. And basically what it is, you're going to be seeing a documentary. You're going to be seeing the film of the events that occurred on that day, on that morning, okay?
Forensic hypnosis is basically what it sounds like. Police investigators hypnotize victims and witnesses so that they can relax, ostensibly, and then recall traumatic events with an even greater clarity.
Relax. This sensation, if you're peeling on the bottom of the seat, I want you just to imagine it now shooting up through your ankle, then through the calves of your legs. Feeling more and more relaxed. I want you to imagine the stress, the feelings, just moving in and out of your leg, your calves, just separating the muscles and all the tension.
According to a 2020 Dallas Morning News investigation, police in Texas had used hypnosis in this way nearly 1,800 times over the past 40 years.
So this woman comes out of hypnosis. They draw a composite sketch. It looks like the guy who actually pulled the trigger and admitted pulling the trigger. Skinny, white, long hair. Charles is heavyset, Hispanic, and he had a buzz cut at the time.
But Charles Flores, again, was one of the main suspects. And over the following year, as this case proceeded, something else happened. His actual mugshot got plastered in newspapers all across the state.
So it wasn't until 13 months later in a court when the woman said, "Oh yeah, there he is." That's who she pointed out as being at the scene of the crime.
And so the thing that spared Charles Flores in 2016, 6 days before that scheduled execution date, and after more than a decade, by the way, of exhaustive appeals here, was a groundbreaking new law, a Texas statute passed in 2013 known as the Junk Science Law. Now, in recent decades, as you might imagine, the credibility of forensic hypnosis have been called into serious scientific question. Evidence has shown that police hypnosis often distorts witness memories and leads to false convictions, and 27 other states, at last count, have banned the practice for this reason. And yet, While Charles Flores did get granted that stay of execution, as well as a new evidentiary hearing in 2018, relief still was ultimately denied. Prosecutors claimed that the eyewitness testimony in question wouldn't have mattered anyway because they had other evidence placing him at the scene of the crime. And the Innocence Project subsequently filed multiple amicus briefs in support of Flores. His lawyers, meanwhile, requested that the case be tried federally before the Supreme Court. And that request, as of January 2021, was denied as well. So, from a purely legal perspective, this is where the story of Charles Flores stops. But for us, of course, it's where our story begins.
He was into some bad stuff, and he admits that. What we're saying is, it's very clear that at the very least, he doesn't deserve to be on death row or in solitary confinement for 23 hours a day for a quarter century.
All of which is to say that the case of Charles Flores is this case that is a larger window onto capital punishment as an institution in the United States still today.